Thank you. I appreciate being here with you all today to talk about not only water optimization and what we're doing, but also agriculture in Utah, and hope to get you excited about agriculture and the things that we are doing. It's the green button? Yes? Yes. All right, just to give you a quick overview of our mission statement and our vision statement for the water optimization program. Our mission statement is to help agricultural producers optimize their water use to create water resiliency in Utah. And I love that word resiliency because I think part of the meaning of it is to recover quickly from difficulties or a sense of toughness. And I think that's what we do every day in the agricultural industry is we recover from difficulties, one of those being drought very often. And so we're looking forward to being able to help our agricultural producers through this program. I always like to point out the water optimization program is intended to be everything for everyone in terms of water conservation and agricultural water conservation. And I always like to remind folks that we have so many varied water needs in the state. You know, where we're at here on the Wasatch Front, we generally only hear about the Great Salt Lake, but there is an extreme water need on the Colorado River, on the Sevier River in central Utah. It's one of the most taxed rivers we have in the state. And so we really try to spread the work that we do to all of the basins and meet the agricultural water needs across the state and meet all of those varied needs that we have. So really quickly, some of you may have seen this graph before. I like to show it. What you can see here are agricultural imports and exports for us as a nation. And you can see in 2024 is the first time in the history of our nation that we are importing more agricultural products than we are exporting. And that should alarm everyone. Food security is national security, and we absolutely need the capacity to be able to feed ourselves and take care of ourselves as a nation. And so I just like to bring that up as a point that we absolutely need agriculture, and we need agriculture in Utah, and it is a very vital use and a very beneficial use of the water that we use to produce the food that we need. I saw a post on Facebook that made me smile. I hope it makes you smile, but it said, "This is your periodic reminder, agriculture is not optional." And I really liked that, and so this is your periodic reminder based on this graph that agriculture is not optional. So I like to just show this picture to start out about what agricultural does, what agricultural water use looks like. I took this a couple weeks ago when I was walking my dogs. Does anyone know what this is? Who said that? This is a tile drain. This is along the side of a canal. This is a tile drain. The canal is shut off. So that water that you see in the canal is just coming from some snow melt that we've had around the area, but mostly from those tile drains. And what those are drains in the bottom of our agricultural fields that collect and channelize groundwater and be able to move it off the field so we can more efficiently farm it, so it's not so salty and wet. But they also serve as these big open sponges. Our agricultural fields serve as these big open sponges to collect that water. And then the systems that we have, like tile drains and canals, can help channelize that. 100% of this water right now is flowing out to the lake. It's leaving the canal. We're not using it for farming. Obviously, the soil has gone dormant. And so I just one of my musings while I was walking that, you know, maybe a benefit that we don't think about very often is the infrastructure that we have in agricultural water can help with a lot of different situations. I also like to show this photo. This is Western Weber County. You can see the farms around there, and then you can see the water leaving the property and heading into the wetlands surrounding Great Salt Lake. I truly believe one of the safest places for Utah water is in the hand of our agricultural producers. They use the water and then return it. Especially in situations here on the Weber River, we're not looking at pressurizing systems. We're not looking at some of those other types of systems that folks may be concerned about losing some of this runoff. We're doing a lot of improved flood systems. We're laser leveling, we're piping open ditches, we're delivering water to our agricultural fields more efficiently, and then we use the water and it's either continuing downstream out the end of our canals, as you can see here in this photo. It's moving into the groundwater and helping to continue to recharge those vital systems. And also this open land is just very vital, as you all know, to wildlife and those return flows and just those open fields. The more and more that we cover those up, the less and less of those returns that we get as we saturate fields and then send water on down the stream. So if you've heard me talk before, you know that I love alfalfa. I won't talk to you about alfalfa today, but I have cards about why we love alfalfa if you'd like them. But I just like to point out that Utah also produces a variety of many other agricultural products. We do a lot of small grains. We produce a lot of onions in Weber and Box Elder County. Peaches, cherries, we have grain corn, we grow mint, we grow silage corn, and also vegetable and fruit production. Some of those things are on a smaller scale than our forage production, like wheat and alfalfa, but we do grow a lot of other products, not to mention we grow fantastic animal protein products on the rangelands that we cannot farm. So a quick update of the program, where we've been, where we're going, and how we hope to get there. So as many of you know, the program was allocated $76 million originally, and with that we were able to fund 330 projects statewide. All projects, even to date, require real-time measurement devices. And then we had some water use projections, and I'll talk about some annual reporting and some of those numbers that we are seeing. So that's kind of where the program started. And I get asked a lot, what does a typical water optimization project look like? And that really depends on where you're at in the state. Like I mentioned, in northern Utah, you can see a lot of these pipe and riser systems. So we're piping open ditches, and we have a stand riser and still are flood irrigating. We are doing in central and southern Utah, where a lot of operations are pressurized, a lot of water systems are pressurized. We're doing sprinkler systems and drop nozzles on sprinkler packages. We're automating canals. We're piping canals. We're lining canals. We are doing drip irrigation systems. So if you can name it in the world of agricultural water, we're doing it through the program. And we irrigate like that in the state. So it's varied statewide, and there's not one size project fits all in the state of Utah. So where we're going in 2022, Senate Bill 277 allocated an additional $200 million to the program. So you can see those zeros are stacking up. We created a water optimization committee, and then that legislation also created a foundation for what we call saved water, or a new beneficial use for water that allows an agricultural producer, if they are interested, to utilize a portion of their water for farming and then be able to save a portion of their water to be used in other places. That could be dedicated in-stream flows, that could be dedicated to the lake, or leased into other locations. And so it laid the framework for that to be able to happen, and for producers to be able to take advantage of that. So to date, we have funded 542 projects and awarded about obligated $114 million and spent out about $39 million on those. Quickly, our Weber Basin statistics. In the basin, we've funded 59 projects that have an impact on just over 18,000 acres. And we've allocated $10 million just within this basin alone. And so we do have a lot of interest from the program within the Weber Basin, and are excited to do projects. We do a lot of work with the canal companies here, and then a lot of those improved flood systems and some drip systems. For those of you who may be interested, our next application period is now open. It'll be open through the end of February. It's a $30 million funding opportunity that we have this application period. We intend to split those funds about 50-50, so $15 million for on-farm projects and $15 million for canal or irrigation company projects. You can see our website. I also have a QR code for you to scan if you're interested in more information about the program in general, or if you're specifically interested in how to apply for water optimization, this QR code will take you right there. So lastly, how we hope to get there is we have updated, with the help of our water optimization committee, we've updated our program criteria and some of our rankings. And one of those incentives that we're really excited about is incentivizing metering before project installation. So the way it works right now, if an on-farm project is installed, they're required to install a meter after their new project is in. But we've never metered what the systems are using on-farm right now. Please don't misunderstand that we're not metering agriculture. Every diversion that comes down a canal is metered. Just specific farm to farm hasn't been metered in the past. And so we're looking forward to establishing some of that baseline information to say, this is the water I was using in my old dirt ditch with siphon tubes. Now I want to put in a pipe and riser system, and we'll be able to establish some of that baseline information. We're also excited to introduce some additional irrigation water management practices, so things like laser land leveling on flood systems, real-time soil moisture sensors that can talk to pivot systems, variable frequency drives. We have a list of some of those management practices. So we're not only just taking these new and improved systems, but we want to be able to pick the best systems and set our producers up for the best options that they have. Also of quick note, all projects are a 50% cost share through the Department of Agriculture. However, if you're interested in a subsurface drip project or an automated surge flood irrigation project, those are eligible for up to 75% cost share. Those have been identified as legislative priorities, and so our legislators made that change that we can cost share up to 75% on those projects. And then really quickly looking forward, I'm really glad that a lot of folks talked about some of the other benefits, or I would like to talk about some of the other benefits, and I feel like there was some good lead up. So real quick, I'll direct your attention to this image. This summer we did some temperature drone flights over agricultural fields as well as development. So to set the scene for you, you can see here a home next to an alfalfa field. It was 11:45 in the morning. The ambient air temperature was 91 degrees. You can see that the alfalfa field measured about 89 degrees, or 84, 89 degrees, and the rooftop measured 140 or 115 degrees. And so as we talk about some of the other benefits, we always like to stress that these open lands help those heat islands so very much. They help drive our small water cycle. There's so many other values that we get from the program besides just reduced water use. We hear from producers all the time about reduced labor, increased safety as we enclose canals. We hear regularly that these systems are allowing our producers' children that are interested in now coming back to the farm to be the next generation, and food security and the capacity that we have to continue farming those. As we move forward, more annual reporting is taking place, which we're really excited to be able to come bring some numbers. Prior to the 2024 irrigation season, we only had 26 projects that were completed, so a very small sample of that 542. This year, at the end of 2024, our producers have till the end of March to report, but we'll have 140 annual reports coming in. So we'll have a much bigger sample, and we're excited to share that information about what our actual on-farm water use is with each of you. And we also like the caveat that I think 1 year isn't a good representation. We're looking forward to 3, 4, 5 years of reporting so that we can show what those look like over time. And the last thing I like to say, I'll just wrap up really quick. I think the water optimization program is laying the foundation for what agricultural water use looks like in the future. We're preparing that next generation for what they want their agricultural water use to look like, and it provides us an opportunity to have a robust agricultural community that will meet the needs that we have as Utah continues to grow as a state and the growth that we know is going to happen. And lastly, I always like to mention, as I showed you the dollars that this program has been allocated, that's a lot of zeros. $276 million is a huge investment from our taxpayers, from all of us here in Utah. But I always like to remind you that that investment is intended to cover half the cost of these projects. The other $276 million is coming out of the pocket of our farmers. They are coming to the table and saying we can do better, and we are doing better, and we're bringing our own dollars to do better. And so I think they should always be acknowledged for that huge investment they're making on their own. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions. I don't know how much time we have. 47 seconds. Oh, okay. Yeah.
At the beginning, you talked about the water coming off the fields and going back into those. I'm interested in knowing more. I've heard in the past that there's problems with sediment loading and fertilizer coming off the fields. So I like to visualize stuff. Are those settling down into the ground? You said they're restoring or replenishing aquifers, but you also mentioned they're going out to the lake. Is there any need or concern with the nutrients in that water?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. Typically, tile drains are about 6 feet deep in the field, and so they have a time to percolate if there was a nutrient or sediment loading. The Weber Conservation District actually years ago did a test. We just did some random water samples above farm and then tested tile drains coming off of the end of the farm, and the water tested cleaner coming out of the tile drain. So definitely percolating. The soil is capturing that. The plants are utilizing those nutrients.
Nice.
Thank you.
Anybody want me to?
Thank you.
Thank you.